We're coming live from Houston with Ernesto Verdugo and live from Dubai with Dave Crane. You are watching the Toilet Paper Diaries. Hello, Ernesto, and hello, everybody. How are you doing?
Hello, everyone. This is
another long day, episode 22, Ernesto. Incredible.
Can you believe it? It's now episode 22, and we are still here. And I have the feeling that we're going to be here for a long time. And I think that's one of the reasons why we wanted to prepare this episode. Yesterday, it dawned upon me the craziness of actually what's going on while we are here in quarantine. There's a world out there, and so far, I mean, yes, we have been doing some research, but I wanted to talk about something that is very dear to me, and of course, I mean, it's also very important for the events industry, which is the industry in which we are in. And I came to realize that this world has changed completely, and we are not at the end of the world, but we are starting a whole new era.
I think you're right. I think it's not Mad Max yet. I don't think it's zombie Holocaust either. I think it's the real change of things that we all decided was going to be the things we got used to forever. So it's literally like swapping drones for planes, or swapping handheld cameras and Insta cameras and Polaroid cameras for phones that have digital in it. The changes that we're seeing are going to be on the same kind of lines as when an industry reinvents itself and goes sideways. A lot of it's going to mean distancing. A lot of it's going to create a whole ton of new jobs that people hadn't even anticipated needed to exist. So for everybody worried about their job, don't be worried about your job. Your job is probably stuffed, to be honest with you, but there will be new industries coming along that are spin-offs of where you are right now that will be plenty of opportunity to jump into. But I think we're going through a real incredible revolution, which is not by choice, it's because of the virus, but it will be like the industrial revolution we're experiencing with the digitization. I think the spin-off of that is going to be speeding it all up and forcing people to think about working from home more, and things that fall into that kind of category. So yes, it's shocking. I'm hoping recession isn't going to be the thing that dictates everything for long, but I don't think it will be. I think people will be smart and they'll reinvent things once we got used to the shocks.
Well, I love this meme, and I think it just basically mentions the whole thing. I think indeed the world is closed for renovation. There's a grand opening soon, but now, as it happens in every grand opening, there's an humongous chaos before you can actually start creating some order out of it. And that, I think, is just one of those things which is going to absolutely be still be there in the next couple of months at least. It depends on how people really react to it. I also value tremendously what it says also on this meme. The spread of the coronavirus is based in two factors: how dense the population is and how dense the population is. So I think on the second dense, that basically we have to all be a little bit more clever and really make sure that we take every precaution possible so that this goes as fast as we can possibly can. But before we actually start moving fast forward, which is exactly what we want to do, we have to be realistic and we have to see the world as it really is, not so much as we possibly would like it to be, or not in the negative way, not in the positive way. But we have to already start seeing that this world has changed dramatically. And one of the industries which is the most affected is the travel industry in both sides, the hospitality and the travel business. I mean, just look at this picture here. They are This is the way that pilots are right now flying in Asia. And it seems to be that this is a possibility, that this is going to be the new uniforms for airline pilots. That, the craziness of what's going on right now in the airline industry is just absolutely crazy. I'm going to show you two pictures so that you can start to understand where we are at the moment. This is a picture taken yesterday. It's a screenshot from flightaware.com. And here you can see the difference between Europe and the United States, still how it is. So just please have a look at this one. This is Europe and the Middle East. As you can see there in Asia, there's still a lot of flights happening there. There's a lot of flights happening in Australia, in Indonesia, very few in the Middle East or Europe. But then once again, if you just see over here what is happening in the United States, you can see the craziness of all the flights are going on now. There's a big difference, and this is why I want you to understand exactly where we are at this point. Over here in Europe, there's every airline, for example, Lufthansa and Air France and KLM and Iberia and British Airways. They have, let's say, 200 aircraft each. So it's relatively easy to actually find park those 200 aircrafts in the airport. Right now, I'm going to show you some pictures of the airports so that you can see how they're actually storing them. But then what happens here in the States is that the airlines, the three major airlines, Delta, United, and American, they have 500-600 aircraft, and it's almost impossible to actually find places where to park these aircraft. And in some cases, it's actually been mentioned that it is cheaper to have the airplanes flying empty than to have them actually parked. We can see here, this is Frankfurt Airport, and this is Hong Kong. Look at all the airplanes parked in all over the place. Now, let me just take away Hong Kong and let me show you Zurich. This is Zurich in Switzerland. Very same situation. Once again, if we keep it on reality, the airline industry is going to be hit severely. I mean, it's going to be very sad what is going to be happening to them, because some of them will not be able to have this. First of all, I will just quickly explain to you what happens. I mean, first of all, parking an aircraft, you have two kinds of parking. You have the active parking and you have the long-term parking. If you're going to be parking an aircraft, it has to be parked in a place where it is hot and dry, so that the airplanes do not rust. And there's a specific procedure in how they have to be stored, the aircraft. Now, if you actually park it in active parking, you can have the aircraft 2 weeks or so, and then the plane needs to be completely start, and it has to be like if the plane is active. And taking a plane out of commission for a month or two, it basically means that they have to be overhauled before they can actually fly again. So the airline industry is in very dire situation, and also the amount of people which are going to be out of jobs, it's really severe. So we know very much that the airline industry is going to be suffering tremendously. So of course we can just think about, and we can just try to say, well, there's going to be some good things of it, but realistically, there's a lot of things which are bad there, and we feel very strongly for everybody which is in the airline industry. Now, moving into the hotel industry, the hotel industry is also having a very dire situation. I mean, if we just look at this this chart, there's also a huge amount of job losses which are going to be happening. I mean, one of the things, talking a little bit like what you were saying, Dave, which is, I think, a good thing, is what I was reading yesterday was that one of the things which is going to really change for the positive in the hotel industry is hygiene. Right now, the hygiene standards for hotels, it's going to increase tremendously, and I think that's a very, very good thing, But then again, they're also running in 5 to 10% occupancy. And that is just, for how long could they be able to have it? They are estimating that it will take approximately 3 to 5 years to the airline and to the travel industry to be back where we are now. Why am I telling you all these things? Because that brings us something which is very close for us, which are speakers, for us, which are experts, for all of us, which are used to going to events. The event industry, it's in very similar conditions. And right now, the word that is going to be very strong in every single thing that we're going to be doing, and this is part of the birth of a new era, is virtual.
Well, virtual will be on everything, just like putting salt and pepper on your dinner. Virtual will be everywhere. And I think it's challenging, it's interesting, because most people don't know what it means, really, whether it's augmented reality or digitization or whatever. But I think the Matrix is going to have a lot more to say to people, an avatar, in the way that people will start doing things differently. I also think that there'll be a blurring of the platform between social media and business media. I think that you'll be using your social media to create this brand, and it'll instantly transport itself onto the business that you're doing more than it ever has before. So there'll be a blurring of the edges between a lot of different things. I mean, as a speaker, I think you have to be looking at virtual, because where are you going to get your audience from if your audience isn't going to come together? I mean, we predicted about 2 months of doing this show, really, from beginning to end, realistically 2 months to go in one end and out the other end. And watching on the news, different places like Sweden, for instance, Sweden hasn't got a lockdown. They say they don't need it because people are quite distant from themselves anyway, but you can easily go to school, you can go to the mall, you can sit in coffee shops. That might work, but it might not work. If that doesn't work, it has a knock-on effect of another shutdown, and you need everybody to go and shut down at the same time. Otherwise, it starts again. So I think that we're going to see a lot of industries changing. But let's look at your hotels, right? Your hotels right now, the biggest problem is they're not going to be able to fill rooms because nobody can go out in the lockdown. But what they have is the ability to create a dark kitchen out of every restaurant. They've got these really top dining experiences. So why not go down the route of putting yourself onto the hiring in food, sending food from your favorite restaurant? Okay, it's difficult, but look at your planes. Planes right now, if you say they're flying empty, why not fill them full of something that makes them some money? It's not passengers, clearly. So what can they do? Right now, we've got a massive logistics problem with food being traveling around the world, which hopefully that's been taken care of. But there will be other things. So I think it's an evolution, and it's the willingness to bite your lip and take a step back and say, if we can't have that, what's the next best thing? And virtual will help a lot with that.
It is just, it's just really very interesting how we actually have to see this. Now, here's another very interesting thing that I was showing you, how this story of virtual is going up there. Yesterday, we had Michael Dietrich, and he used to work for Boom Chicago. Boom Chicago is the #1 stand-up comedy club in Amsterdam. And right now they're saying Boom Chicago is open for business virtually. And I have been seeing this trend coming up here back and forth. I mean, it's virtual everything. So it is something that definitely is going to be something that we need to get prepared for, because of course we are living in a complete new world. This is really not the end of the world. It's the beginning of a new era. And depending on how well prepared you are, the better that you will be doing in this entire world. Let's just go to some of the people which are watching us now live. Let's just say hello to Amit Prakash, all the way from India. I know that you're in the hotel industry, so I'm sure that you will be finding this very interesting. We're also having Guillermo Olguin. Hello, Guillermo, how are you? We are having Gotham saying that I see hundreds of episodes more realistic. Yeah, this is exactly what it is going on. This is an evolution, and this is something that is really taking us by surprise, because these people are still thinking that they're going to go back to normal. I mean, and that's why we have to make sure that people realize that the world as we know it has completely changed. In fact, yesterday I was listening to the song "It's the End of the World as We Know It." Remember
R.E.M.
from REM?
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I mean, everything goes through change. The music industry goes through change, and right now we're just going for another change. I mean, here's one of the things that you and I probably find it easier to adapt than most people, because we've had to reinvent ourselves many times. I started off business as a news reporter for the BBC. I mean, I left the BBC and came over to Dubai, and in Dubai I was in entertainment. I mean, I always did the same together, and then I ended up becoming a life coach, then a hypnotherapist, and then an event manager, and then I became a motivational speaker and hosting a lot of big events. And now I train people to do public speaking, and I do events around the world. So I've always moved on as soon as I could see that things got a little bit too comfortable, because you could see either that it was more challenging to be successful, or that something coming in is going to knock everything for six. And here's one of the things that, I mean, you know this, and I know it, and I teach all my clients on it as well. The formula for getting paid is very simple. You get paid for two things. First of all, the effect of the job you do, and secondly, how easily you can be replaced by somebody else. So if you're in an industry where you find that everyone's doing the same kind of thing, it becomes harder and harder to do something. When you can get into something new and be the only person doing it, and there's a demand for it, suddenly you've got a new way of playing the game. And we're going to be talking later on about the blue ocean strategy, which I think is a great way of illustrating how this works in business. And it's also something that many people haven't studied it, that they should be examining, because it's got a load of answers for them right now about where they should pivot and relaunch themselves.
Yeah, we have a video for you on the blue ocean strategy. Shall I play it now, Dave?
Yes, let's see it. I think it'll be useful for a lot of people.
In 1984, Guy Laliberté co-founded Cirque du Soleil. Soon, Cirque was bringing in revenues that incumbents like Ringling Brothers had taken more than a century to attain, even though the circus business was in long-term decline. How did Cirque thrive in such a dismal environment? The answer can be found in the theory that the business universe consists of two kinds of markets: red oceans and blue oceans, a concept pioneered by INSEAD professors W. Chan Kim and René Beauborn. Red oceans represent existing industries and markets, where industry boundaries and the rules of competition are well defined. Companies strive to outperform rivals and grab a bigger share of existing demand. As the space gets crowded, fierce competition turns the water bloody. Competitive or market competing strategy is about how to occupy red oceans. By contrast, blue ocean or market creating strategy is about how to create and capture unknown markets where demand is created rather than fought over. In some cases, this spawns entirely new industries. But most blue oceans emerge when a company alters the boundaries of an existing industry, as when Cirque du Soleil blurred the line between circus and theatre. Cirque made the acts more artistic and sophisticated, attracting a whole new group of customers, adults who are prepared to pay premium ticket prices as they would for the theatre or the opera. Cirque also eliminated several elements of the traditional circus, like costly animal acts and star performers. Cirque invented a new and profitable market space without making the typical trade-off between value and cost. Cirque pursued both differentiation and low cost in what Kim and Beauborn call value innovation. The simultaneous pursuit of value and cost is the logic of blue ocean strategy. Based on their study of more than 30 industries, companies that can create blue oceans usually reap the benefits for 10 to 15 years because they are hard for rivals to copy. To realize blue ocean potential like Cirque did, companies should chart a strategic course past traditional industry boundaries to create new market space.
There you go, blue ocean strategy. And I think that the example of Cirque du Soleil is a great example. The circus industry was in decline. People didn't like the idea of the animals being badly treated. People didn't want to pay full money. They didn't want to travel. There was a bad view of the way the people who put these things together are as people. There's all sorts of things. So Cirque du Soleil come in, reinvent it. It's still essentially the circus, but everybody wants to pay a fortune to go and see it. and they've had them all around the world and making a ton of money. So it can be done, but it makes you have to be creative to come up with something different.
Yeah, I think right now, sure, the blue ocean strategy and the red ocean strategy are great metaphors on how to think. But I also believe very strongly that we have to become, we have to really be ahead of the game. So, I mean, this is just something that nobody knows where is going to be the next move. Right now, yesterday, as I was doing all the research for the airlines, and I was sharing with you all this information, Dave, we got 2 excellent videos on how, and I looked for videos from many airlines, and there's only 2 airlines which have videos like this, which are incredibly futuristic, incredibly blue ocean thinking, and I think you're going to really like them. Of course, the first one had to be Emirates. So have a look at the advertising that they are right now showing, and this is very important. They're only showing it on social media.
Do you remember when they closed the schools and kids tried to learn online? And when we heard the term social distancing for the very first time? Do you remember when we worked from home and actually missed the office and even the people we didn't get along? When the fun of flying wasn't there for us anymore, but we had to be strong. All of those things we took so much for granted were now off limits to us every day. A walk in the park, a bit of a lark, a kiss in the dark. Do you remember when we stayed away from the gyms and watched too much TV, so we put on weight and learned not to hate anything or anybody anymore except COVID-19? Do you remember when the airlines were grounded, which meant we missed our loved ones even more, but the whole world came together and said enough, no more?
I love that ad because I think it just really shows the forward mentality of Emirates. Now, the other company that is also using a very similar ad, it's Kenya Airways, and in this one they are taking a little bit of a different approach, but it's a very similar message. Have a look.
We are living in unprecedented times, uncertain times, in circumstances that see us shelving our travel plans and instead staying at home, because this is the right thing to do now. But this dark cloud of uncertainty will pass, giving way to a new dawn, a fresh start, when we get back to doing what we love, traveling the world, seeing new places and making new memories, because adventure is worthwhile. Magical Kenya will be waiting to embrace you with the hospitality of its people. Our warm, sunny beaches will be there to enthrall your mind, body and spirit. Be ready for an adventure of a lifetime as you go on an unforgettable safari. Enjoy our diverse culinary delights and take in the magic of Kenya. We will be ready for you to tee off after that important meeting. We will be here for you to live the magic. Magical Kenya, the magic awaits.
Absolutely.
Remember, taking it back, the last big recession in 2008, Emirates Airlines went against the grain for every other airline. They invested a fortune in buying planes when everybody else was grounding their planes and saying, you know what, this recession is going to go on forever, the industry is doomed. They bought a ton of planes to create a massive fleet. So a year later or so, when we all came out of the recession, they became a non in the world because they just had more stuff going on, more revenue, better service, blah, blah, blah. So I think during times like this, when everyone's locking down, and I understand it was a beautiful video, just to let people know we're still here for you and we still care about you. And that's exactly the message. I mean, that's the message we created by creating this show in the first place. But I think that now's the time to invest in innovative ideas, in your staff, and amongst your team. I mean, each of these airlines have got hundreds of thousands of people working for them. There's great ideas that they thought of that nobody paid attention to or nobody was asked about because you had a functioning business. Now's the time for something new to come out of it. I remember you showed us that slide a couple of episodes ago about the amount of industries that came out of the 2008 recession, like, for instance, Uber and Instagram, and it was Airbnb. There's a number of different ones. Square or Foursquare all came out from people saying, we can do something with this. I don't know what we're going to do, but we'll create something. So right now, there's some genius ideas going on that will just come to the fore, and some will drop down because that's business.
Yeah, indeed. We have two interesting calls coming up. I am just getting a message here all the way from North Carolina. We are getting Matt, which is driving. I mean, this is going to be a first
crazy
reporter actually reporting from his car. So, yes, Matt, we are ready for you. Are you there?
Quick.
Dave and Ernesto, Matt Trump coming to you from Highway 40 Blues. Driving from Fayetteville to Durham, North Carolina, where I'm headed to the cancer center tomorrow to get my noggin checked out so they can tell me that I don't have to have surgery in my brain again. That'd be fantastic. First time out on the road in almost a month. It's been a long time sitting at the house, and everybody's getting cooped up, obviously. But there is pretty skies outside. It's beautiful. And life does go on. Now, it is a pretty horrendous situation we're all facing right now, but there's one way to get through it. Do it. We do it together. We work on stuff, make it happen. And I'm so excited to see so many people that are reaching out to each other, that are working on things they thought they didn't have time for, and how they're making a difference in the lives of other people. So thank you guys for doing a great show where we have an opportunity to learn some great things factually that are happening in the world, as well as just experiencing some great things we have with each other here on your show and this platform. Thanks for being a big part of it. Back to you in the studio.
That is very cool. That
He's
is
amazing.
awesome. And now we're also
He's a pastor.
having...
he's a pastor, he's a business coach, radio DJ, and musician. Matt Crump, incredible guy. You're saying you've got somebody else coming through?
I am having now Phil. Phil is reporting all the way from Poland. So Poland.
Hi Dave. Hi Ernesto. This is Phil Hughes checking in from Krakow in southern Poland. As you can see, I've got a sexy beard and I've got some sexy gloves. Try using mobile phone camera with gloves on. And we're here doing the pre-Easter shopping. Beautifully 2 meters apart queue to get in, and really just letting you know it's exactly the same here as it is everywhere else. We've got our 2 meters social distancing. We got locked down a lot earlier than most other people did, but so far we're safe. My message really is, in these days, your tribe is your community. Here in the village outside of Krakow, we're very aware that we have to look after all of our families, extended families here, of course, and friends. So we're down here shopping for about 7 or 8 people, keep the whole clan together. And my one bit of advice, J.K. Rowling was on Twitter last week saying that we should be inspiring people and doing things differently. And ex-football manager called Nigel Adkins, who's a bit of a legend to Southampton fans. He's managed to go from virtually nothing to being a viral guru life coach in the space of a week, just telling people how to cook interesting breakfasts. So yeah, get creative out there. Try not to tell people too much about their brands. Just be positive, have empathy, and look after your clan and your tribe. Anyway, back to Dave and Ernesto in the studio. Take care, everyone. Stay safe. I'm going shopping. Bye.
Thanks, Phil. No, we've known Phil for a long time. He's been a really good friend for about 26 years, 27 maybe. And I've traveled all around the world with him as a business consultant. And him and his beautiful wife, Anna. And it's a thing that we often don't think about because, I mean, I haven't really got an extended family being based in Dubai. I've just got my wife, my daughter, my 2 dogs, and friends. And that's my family, really. But for many people, you have to look after your family everywhere. And the challenge is, if you can't go into the house with them, how do you visit? And there's many people, there's videos of visiting Granny, but keeping the social distancing. And so just waving and having a chat from the porch, which is unfortunate, but it's a smart and sensible way to do this.
Well, before we move into our last section of the show, I want to remind everybody that you can listen to us not only on the live show, but you can also listen to us through our podcast, which is exactly the same content as we are doing here. You can just go and listen to all the episodes at bit.ly toilet paper podcasts. I think we're sharing some very interesting information, and the moment that we actually go to our next phase, which is actually right now on the workings, which is going to be fast forward, you're going to find the information that we're going to be sharing incredibly important, because right now, exactly as we are saying that we are getting into the birth of a new era, we are going to be also helping ourselves, first of all, and second, also help you get prepared for this new world that we are coming through. So, Dave, I wanted to ask everybody. I mean, I want to show them a couple of the examples of the logos that we're going to be using, but possibly you can tell them how they can contribute to the show.
Yeah, I mean, what we'd love to have is we want to create a logo for Fast Forward, because that's a show we're launching straight after we get out of quarantine. And we're not graphic designers, and we've got a couple of ideas there. We like the idea of the red, and we like the idea of the yellow, probably because I'm a huge fan of Iron Man. But we'd like to see which one you like best of those two, or even better, if you can come up with a design that works more effectively for what the show's going to be, then let us know. If you're a graphic designer or you've got a really cool idea, then send them through to us through our normal means, which we'll have to show you with our contact details. And whoever wins as the best one, we'll get it all voted for. We'll get a chance to have their business plugged on the show. Maybe even get a quick interview with you to find out who you are and what you've done. So send us your options on whether you'd like the first one or the second one, or even better, send us one that's better than either of those. And we'd love to have it. You can contact me through thedavecrane.com, you saw it there, or through Ernesto at www.ernesto.today. Those are our contact pages. They're not proper websites. They've got all the details. And so either get us on WhatsApp, because we look at WhatsApp all the time. My emails I tend to ignore because I just can't remember what's on them anymore. So WhatsApp would be great. We'd love to have your designs from Fast Forward.
That is super cool. Dave, why don't we move right now to Fast Forward? And I think the first section that we should be covering in Fast Forward is what you are doing, because I find it absolutely fascinating. I saw your campaign today on LinkedIn, and I think you're completely on the right track. So do you want me to show them the video?
Yeah, okay. The video is part of, if you've been following the show for quite some time, and you know that Ernesto and I are speakers, we have different angles. Mine is I train people and I speak on stage. I train them to speak. Ernesto is he creates marketing for speakers. So I need to speak on stage as well. Now I realize with the current challenge is that people have got all their stuff all over the place, and they want to motivate them. And as a motivational speaker, I wanted to reinvent the way that motivational speaking works, because otherwise nobody's going to have a room full of people to work with you. What they will have instead is a load of scared people at home who really need to feel that the company loves them. Now, I realize that there's lots of different things happening in the world out there. So what I wanted to do was reach out and share with people a new solution that's so cost effective, because to hire me as a speaker means that you're not needing to hire a venue. You don't need to do the catering. You don't need security. You don't need logistics. You don't need to get people traveling from A to B. You don't need any branding on stage, any band, cabaret. You just need to get me to Zoom into your house or webinar into your house of all your team, and I can motivate them for an hour and a half, and we can do that over a period of time to get people back on track. And so I've launched that today, and here's the promo video.
The coronavirus hit the world and sent 2 billion employees into home quarantine. Now there's no way that you can see what your team sees, feel what they feel, and drive business the way that you used to. We can train your team in their home. We can get them to think differently right now. You have to reinvent your workplace and make it virtual, make it emotional, and make it flexible. Let's turn your team into leaders who will start creating a brand new legacy from today. My name is Dave Crane.
I love it.
So there we go.
I think it's just fantastic, and I think that that's exactly the way in how things are going to be working. So fantastic. Well done, Dave.
Thank you very much indeed, Ernesto.
Yeah, just to finish today's program, I want to share with you what I think are going to be the 10 qualities that you will require to be able to thrive in this new era. So, first of all, you have to be realistic. You have to have a realistic perception of reality. Not worse, not better. I mean, Dave and I tend to always be over enthusiastic and over positive, but to a certain extent, we also hold ourselves to the most point to try to be realistic. Point number two, you need to treat people with kindness and respect. I think after what we have seen, it doesn't matter if it is a janitor, it doesn't matter if it is the president of an organization. Anybody needs to be treated with kindness and respect. Third point, you need to be incredibly empathic and a great listener. I think one of the things that the coronavirus has brought is that we have to really listen to the people that we love, to the people that we're in. And in fact, I'm actually putting today a meme of me and my family saying, well, you know, the best thing about having the quarantine is the people that I am actually sharing it with. And right now I cherish them more than ever. You have to be thoughtful and considerate with everybody. You have to have, and this is a very important one, you have to have a non-hostile sense of humor. I think right now you have no clue. I mean, you should not be making fun of absolutely anybody with the intent of hurting anybody. You have to learn, and this is one of those important things that you need to do right now. You need to learn a little bit more of emotional intelligence. You have to be able to express your emotions clearly. You should not be afraid of making mistakes, because right now we have no idea how everything is going to be working. And if you simply are afraid of making mistakes, you're going to suffer afterwards. You have to really be very tolerant and accepting, not only to different cultures and different races and different religions and different political views, but you have to make sure that you are not, you have to see that we are all, it's a planet, and we have seen how vulnerable we are. So it's very important that we are tolerant and accepting. You have to be open-minded, and you need to be also very fair. You have to be very accepting also for people, and you should never work out with a hidden agenda. Try to be transparent. Try to make sure that you show your emotions exactly where you are. And I know it's going to be difficult, because of course what worked in the past possibly is not going to be working in the future. And that is basically my fast forward tips for the day.
I love it. I think they're very sensible. A lot of them based on emotional intelligence and empathy. And I think it makes smart business sense as well, because so much of what we pick up from people is done with the body language when we meet them together, face to face, the shaking of the hand, the look of their venue, when you sit down and talk business with them, they get you a coffee, you're chatting, all this kind of stuff. Now that is not going to exist for quite some time. People are just not going to meet anybody, and they might not go back into it in certain industries. It might stay virtual. And so what you have to do is telegraph that relationship by kindness and by examples and by showing that you really do care about what the other person's going through. What you could do is you could get through it by being a strong authoritarian. I'm in charge, I'm great, I'm successful, you're nothing, look at me, stay with me, or you get nothing. I don't think that's going to carry the same weight. You don't have to have a ton of extra money. You've got to pay bills, you've got to make sure you eat, and you need to make sure your family's safe. So if you took all your money that you've got coming in and just put it down to those basics, how much extra do you really need? Now, people will still do that, they'll still grow money, and they still want to do what the best that they can. But there will be a lot of people who just go, okay, so the environment is all about making money. That's why the climate's falling to bits. So if we're not so interested in making money the same way, what matters so much? And I think the health and the love that you have around you is as much of a currency as the internet and access to entertainment. They're all essential, but a lot of people would frown on love and empathy because they're not things that you can monetize. And I hope that what comes out of this is a different attitude to what's important and a rebalance of priorities. And what you've said there, that wonderful 10 list, 10 essential qualities list is what I believe people should start with if they're going to be successful in the future. Business can go on top of that, but you start with that internally, and that's what you're going to see in the world around you. And that would be great if everyone did the same thing.
Yeah, Dave, this has been a great show. I just have to close the show with one concern that I'm having, because this is exactly one thing that I cannot live with. It's just driving me nuts. I mean, right now, everybody, and I see more and more of this in Facebook. I mean, my hair is just becoming too long, and that kids are starting to look like this. And it's just absolutely horrendous. So,
Well,
I mean, you're very lucky that you just have your dreadlocks. I'm sure that it doesn't take any time for you to get them ready, right?
Here's the home truth. It takes 4 hours to do this. And it's not me that does it. Somebody else does it for me. If I do it on my own, it takes 3 weeks to do my hair plaited like this. So it's not that easy. But my wife came to me, my beautiful wife Aziza came to me today and said, "Can you cut my hair?" And I said, "Well, no, baby, it looks great." And she goes, "No, it's too long. It's really annoying me." And I said, "Do you remember the last time I cut it?" And the last time I cut it, I had a pair of scissors, not much bigger than this, right? Sort of like nail scissors. And I went around the back of her hair and I smoothed it down as much as I could. I'm not a hairdresser. And I cut it. But when I cut it and I let go of it, it was at an angle like that. So once he tied it up, it was fine. Once he let it down, it was like she'd fallen asleep in the hairdressers and somebody cut around it. So I refused, for my own safety, because we're living in the same house, I'd never live it down if I did it. So I actually got my 9-year-old gorgeous daughter Maya to cut my wife's hair because I couldn't deal with another month of, "Look what you did to me, you ruined everything," when all the bald patches grew back. So I get it, and nobody's touching my hair, but yours is looking a little bit long on top there. You've got like a Superman kiss curl you need to address, or make it into a beehive. That looked great for Ernesto. Really good.
Oh my god. Well, anyway, have a great day, have a great evening to everybody in Dubai or India. I see Shalini Ryan. Hello, Shalini. How are you? It's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for sharing the show. Thank you, Gotham. Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Frank, and everybody which watches us regularly. Send you all a big virtual hug, which is the word, and see you tomorrow.
Goodbye.